Let's go and bring the meeting to order. The Ports Redevelopment Housing Authority Board of Commissioners meetings are normally held the third Thursday, but we've shifted to the second one here. All meetings are conducted at PRHA's main office, 3116 South Street. Unless otherwise noted, all members of the public are welcome to attend. All right, thank you very much for everybody being here. Why don't we get the roll call and then we'll get a full of the minutes. All right, Ms. Marshall.
Commissioner Cost.
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan.
Here.
Commissioner Pickens. Commissioner Prince.
Present.
Commissioner Wright.
Here.
Vice Chair Wicks.
Here.
Chair Lalonde.
Yes, thank you very much. You have in front of you, and you just, I think you got it a couple days ago, the minutes from our last meeting, October 27th. Take a motion for
Accept the minutes.
second. Any discussion at all? Any changes? All right, or Mr. Marshall?
Commissioner Cost. Commissioner Morgan. Commissioner Prince.
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Commissioner Wicks.
Yes.
Chair Lalonde.
Yes, thank you very
I'm
much.
sorry, Vice Chair.
I've just got three things before I turn it over to Mr. Bland, and then we have an item that we need to bring up at after the public speakers. As you all know, with the elections Tuesday, we had two new city council people added to council. Councilman Battle was one of the ones that didn't get reelected. So obviously in January, when the council does their reorganization, we may get another liaison. Right now, it's Vice Mayor Barnes and Councilman Battle. So we'll see what happens with that. And just two comments. Get the word to the RAB board that I need them to meet. I see that they didn't meet again. All right. I guess I'm going to interject myself and just let them know I'll be attending the next meeting. Okay. But it's not good that we're not having that. The resident advisory board is important to us, you know, and it's hard while we have resident commissioners, you know, they're living in it, want to hear from them, good or bad, and we'll listen as best we can. But let them know, hey, I'm going to take this up a notch and, I'm going to attend.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Is there the possibility, I don't know if you need to speak on this, that they could potentially send out a form that can be filled out, I won't say absentee form, but there may be some other reasons that we're not looking at, that they're not meeting. And if there is an actual board, if there's something where at least they can sign their name to and put down their issues, questions, that we can actually substitute that. Because again, there may be something else that's going on that we're not looking at. Is that something that's viable?
Yeah, I think that's viable, and I think, Ms. Thomas Erica is over that, and she has been working with them and trying to get, presidents from the different communities on board. So I know she's
Open
been,
elections, and that's the problem, we don't have enough members.
Right.
So that's why we haven't been meeting.
But I'm saying if we could, for what members we do have, if we could just open up that option that, okay, you don't have to attend, but fill this out, get it back to whoever your representative is, that we can at least have something on paper with a signature that says, these are your concerns that we can address.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Not gonna be able to do anyway.
so they're meeting, because I have to go over my input plan.
Okay.
So they'll meet.
Right. The second issue I had was from the significant activities report. The organization's done very good with keeping up with maintenance, even though we've had the shortfalls. I see that we have significant backlog though at Westbury. Is there something happening at Westbury?
Inspections. I still log the inspections. But when they're going in to do the unit inspections, I log them in the system.
Right, but these are backlog maintenance actions. It's showing that we had 35, you had 85 actions generated for the month, 52 are completed, and there's 33 that are backlogged.
So that,
All the rest of them is just one or two.
that consists of Pine, Holly, and the cottages. Seaboard, which is over Pine, is short staffed. We've had a few people.
Seaboard, you're good. It's showing Seaboard good, Seaboard Square good.
Same,
Maintenance,
same
same
maintenance.
personnel.
Okay,
So they're
okay.
short staffed. A lot of things have been on back order. So
Gotcha. It just seems like it's all focused at Westbury.
keep in mind, that consists of 3 developments
Got it, okay?
under 3 different maintenance people.
I hear you, but you haven't had a backlog in the whole time. Like, I was always impressed during COVID that y'all kept up and all of a sudden.
But you're no short staff.
Ballooned up.
Short staff and we're
And then inspections,
inspection.
so I'm not gonna explain to you a little more, because I do know when, for inspections, you might find 10 things at one apartment, so if you're doing a lot, you may have 100 tickets
Okay,
at one time, so.
okay, so we're just being aggressive with inspections.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
HUD is coming to do an inspection, so we get in and do a pre-inspection.
Good with that? Okay, thank you. All right, since we don't have our council liaisons here, obviously, there's no remarks from the council liaisons. Mr. Bland, I'm gonna send it over to you.
Okay. 2 items, that's on your agenda. We have the Lincoln outstanding rents. I'm gonna pass this stuff around real quick.
There we go. Okay, 2 and 4.
Appreciate it, yeah.
Okay, the 2 sheets you got, at the last meeting, I think you received the age receiver outstanding rents for each community. So it showed that basically we have outstanding roughly about $585,000 outstanding rents from all of our communities. So we're in the process of filing the Lincoln rents into court. Now also you have what's called a repayment agreement, which is a part of our in our admission container occupancy policy. I'm gonna pass this around to you too. That you have in our policy. So what we try to do is, although we're filing the residents in court for non-payment of rent, we also will work with them on a repayment agreement at the same time. So we'll give them that option instead of taking possession of the unit to work out a repayment agreement with the housing authority, since they are behind the rent. Now, if they are not willing to work out the repayment agreement, then actually we will go ahead and move forward with for the court to give us possession of the unit. And then also keep in mind, we do a lot of deductions before we set the rent. Hypothetically, I'm gonna use an example. If a person's income is $20,000, I use that as a figure. If they got children, they get deduction, child deduction, $480. If the elderly disabled, they get a disabled deduction, $400. If they're paying child care, they get a deduction, they get a utility deduction. So if the gross rent happened to be, let's say 20,000, we do all the deduction, then the net on that might be 15,000. And then we do our rent calculation, 30% of the adjusted gross income, determine what the monthly rent is gonna be. But we work very hard not to evict anyone. But at the same time, we are charged with collecting rents, because one of the indicators on the public housing side is on files is how well you do in collecting your rents, and we'll compare it to other housing authorities across the country on rent. That's one of the indicators, whether you are poor performers, standard performers, high performers. One of those indicators, collecting of rents. Any question on the items I hand you?
I have a question on, oh, you go ahead, don't you?
My question, so if they sign a payment plan, then you won't take them to court?
If they sign a payment plan, we will not take, I'll let Val add to that.
So actually with the repayment agreement, we are requiring half down. And then we will not take them to court. They're gonna have until June to get these families paid.
They're still doing, let's say, a 6 month.
It's like 8.
Then my question would be, and I'm on the HCV side of things, more of my expertise, but I know HUD implemented something in what we can ask for and how we set up the repayment agreements. And I'm wondering if that was done on the LIPH side also, because like yourself, and I'm looking at the year of your of your APOP, 2018 was probably the last time you had your updates? Your APOP, or you had some?
No.
You had some, okay. So we had to revise the repayment agreements because HUD came up. Is this the formula that HUD came up? Because they actually
40%.
came up with, and we literally had to go in and redo our repayment agreement. So what I'm seeing here is the formula that HUD,
Correct.
okay,
Yeah, that's the form that HUD requires. Yeah.
okay,
You can't exceed the 40%,
40%,
the 40% side between what the present rent is and any back. When you add those two to come together, you can't exceed that 40% threshold.
What I was looking for, you give us the dollar amount. I was looking for how many specific tenants are in trouble. Just take for Dale one, we have 146 units at Dale. How many of the 146 units are delinquent?
Well, for Dale, it's
Well-
about approximately about 130 to 140.
Hmm.
Dale is the bulk. Dale 1 and 2 is the bulk of our,
You understand, but
So it's pretty much
it's showing Dale one, we've got 146 units. Of the 146 units, how many are delinquent?
I don't know, specific for Dale 1 and 2, the separate, for Dale 1 and 2 together, it's approximately about 140.
Oh, so
For
half,
both phases.
so half of the folks at Dale are delinquent, half.
So is
Yes.
it mainly for, cause they apply for RP and was expecting to get the money
Right,
and they didn't get it?
exactly.
So at this point, I don't even see it viable for them to even put half down and start payment plan, cause they had to pay rent, plus the payment plan, so if they don't have half, then you just go ahead and just take them to court.
At Swanson, of the 209 units at Swanton, how many of those
I
are
couldn't remember
delinquent?
it off the top.
I can get those numbers for you.
Please, please, please. The, one of the things, again, about, having to pay half, that's the requirement that they have to pay down. Is that our requirement or is that that's our requirement? And in addition to the half down, are we still hitting them with interest, penalties, late fees?
No,
We have no additional charges that are put on top of it. So it's pure rent that they're having to pay.
The
So
debt
y'all-
that's
whatever their.
What
delinquent
balance is it
It's
at?
probably rent, it could be maintenance charges, it could be late. charges,
Understand. Wait a minute, go back to late charges. I thought I just
Past
said,
due late charges.
Past due.
so we're still hitting them with, we're gonna hit them with past due late charges.
Not on top,
It's
but
not on
with
top
just
of it, but it's combined into that balance.
So once they enter a payment agreement, you stop the late fee long as they.
Correct.
Well, there are no late fees on repayment agreements at all.
Once they
That-
sign, yeah,
Once they sign.
Right,
There's no late
there's
fees
no
on
additional
repayment
charges on
agreements.
there.
But if they're late on their rent, those late fees will still
Right.
incur.
Right.
Correct.
Which
So
now.
if I may ask, Chair, what is,
I'm just-
where is your head wrapped around
It's,
this?
you know, and I'm sure y'all are adjudicating it case by case, you know, but it came out as a shocker to me about a month ago when Virginia Housing came out and said, if you haven't gotten your RPP money, you're not getting it. I mean, you know, it was done. And, you know, I was still thinking that some of those, you know, some of these applications were still going through, but they just put they just put a hard, fast deadline that if you hadn't gotten your money, if you had not received your money by this date, even though your application may have been approved, you aren't gonna get the money. So I'm just, I guess I'm trying to be kinder, gentler here. You know, these are the ones, you know, these are definitely low income folks. Where are they gonna come up with another 50%? I mean, I mean, it's not like they're gonna, like money's gonna come from somewhere. If 50% is our requirement, then I guess it's y'all's decision, but I'm just asking that maybe on a case by case basis, that you kind of reconsider whether it be 50%. Steve, you're looking at me.
Because the fair housing can't offer 50 for one and 20, you have to stay
Okay.
consistent.
Right.
And I will say the majority of people have not lost income, because you know our rents are based on income, so they
Gotcha.
come to us
Okay.
and told us they lost income, we would adjust their rent.
Right, and on top of that, we do have people coming in with half of their money. You know, we've had residents tell us they just chose not to pay rent.
Yeah, and there's been almost 3 years of,
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there's been almost 3 years
I hear you.
of-
I hear you.
funds coming in, and not to say that these folks just aren't paying, but there's a lot of folks.
But but I didn't consider that. If they lost income, then y'all would have adjusted
Right,
to accommodate
we're
the income.
required, it's a HUD
Okay,
requirement.
okay,
And
all right.
then you keep in mind too, you had some that applied for the relief from the state. And let's say that particular time they applied for relief, they might have owed $1,000. When they applied for the relief, then coming forward,
They still wasn't paying rent.
wasn't
Right,
paying
right,
rent.
right, right. Okay, come back to us with, I want to know, I'd like to know the specific numbers at each unit. And I'd like, you know, you gave us $585,000. I'd like to know how many families is that?
Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay. What, have we've gone to court? How many evictions do we have? How many evictions do we have that's been approved by the courts?
I'm not sure, Karen's not here.
But we,
Been
but,
following.
It's like the,
Done reports, I was asked to bring them, so I can't really tell you, but I can forward you the court reports. We saw.
but we do have court ordered eviction.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Again, line them up with where the folks are looking at.
Because like I'm saying, in one of the things, you know, that rent collection is part of the HUD requirement, that's part of your scoring.
Well, I understand, you all report it every month, I got it. It's just that, it's just hard. It's gonna be, I'm just saying, it's gonna be hard to spin this, right? That's all. And it's just something, I mean, it's business, I got it.
But we have
Right.
HUD behind us. That, I don't see where there's a hard spin.
Okay.
It's HUD. It's got the regulations behind us.
Sure. All right. Okay, I'm beating it, but, okay.
The other item we had was, security. And we have a security person here, Nate, and we have a video we want to show you first, and then we're going to, we have cameras in all of our communities, so you can kind of see that the cameras are working. Not only that, the police department have accessibility to the cameras at any given time, so they can also look and see what's going on anytime, day or night, 24 hours a day.
it's just a live feed, because this is what's going on now. But I'll show you the archive video.
This particular one showing you where on a FedEx driver, he was coming in to deliver a package, somebody jumped in his vehicle and took us.
Where is this?
This happened at Dale.
Dale and the, what we, Brick Road.
When did this happen? I see, wait.
Now, in this car, is that, we got two people in this car, we got people in this car right here?
Mhm.
Yeah, so there's people sitting in that car right there. Okay. Make it a standard delivery, huh? So the car came out of left, right?
Wow.
It drives off with the van.
Yeah, we do.
In and
He
out.
dropped
I
something.
mean, that's what they do.
Get the keys and.
Because they're going in and out, right?
Run it
A
out.
lot of times they got 9 deliveries on the same.
Now, do we know what's happened since?
You want to?
Since, detectives, I've contacted Detective Scalchi, and he's, kind of working the angles from it, because the gentleman who did that, he's involved in the murder that happened, like, I want to say 3 weeks prior. He was one of the, suspects that was, apprehended.
So we do know.
We do know who he is. That is, can I call names?
No.
No names. Okay. All right. He is, a resident.
So you recognize the
I know
car?
exactly-
You knew who it was.
I know exactly who he is.
He's a resident of Dale.
He is a resident.
So when,
It's currently under eviction.
okay, so they can evict them before the case even goes to court.
Well, their family was actually under eviction for another dealing with the murder. So that's why this happened after the fact, so we just added that on, but it's a preponderance of evidence, so when you have a video or something like that, you can move forward.
Okay,
Yeah, actually.
But keep in mind also, I mean, they can challenge us in court at the same time if they choose to. But a lot of them move before we get to the court.
No, they haven't.
No, they haven't moved yet, so sometimes they're challenges and sometimes they go ahead and.
Right, sir, do you want to go over your?
The, and also what I want to hand out is, and you can have this, this is kind of our trespass list, it kind of gives you an idea of folks that's on. They look at the date and folks, we add folks to our trespass list, constantly. They want to talk with, what's that?
All right, so, as you all know, you have a trespass list, which you see in front of you, and there are like 3 steps to that. First time we approach you, and it's on nonviolent, but it's kind of belligerent behavior, we give you a trespassing warning. Then you have the trespass arrest. After that, you go into the barment. And that's on mediocre behavior such as, let's say, drinking in public, things like that. Now, on more violent behavior such as domestic violence and stuff like that, we go straight to the barman, sector of the sheet. As you see, I've been adding on a lot of people to this sheet. With that being said, those are 3 ways or the 3 steps to being barred off the property.
And that's indefinite.
Indefinite barment is the final.
What's the time period for this report?
The time period.
This run from, run from 20 up to the present time. And look at that first one up the top is 2/19/20. I use that as the old.
I see the date now. Okay, got it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, this actually was started by PD when they were here.
Got it.
And we've been continuously adding on to it.
Yeah, and all housing authority have a no trespass list. That's common in the industry. Some folks stay on indefinite, but you can remove people after a period of time, if they show no additional bad behavior, not only on our property, but you can kind of search what I call the court docket and see if anything else going on. So you have the flexibility, you can remove folks and take them off the no trespass list, later on if you choose to do that. Sure. But just wanted to show you that not only do we have the cameras out, we also enforce trespassing to try to keep our communities as safe as we can. And they just mentioned the police department has accessibility to look at our cameras anytime, day or night, 24 hours a day, so they can also see what's going on within the community. Anything else you want to add?
I'm always in constant rotate. I'm always in the ear of 3 individuals. I have a detective, Mike, that works on the digital recovery team, and 2 homicide detectives, Jackson and Center Scout, that's always relaying information and stuff to me. So,
Yes, sir.
Is the 3-tier a HUD recommendation or rule? Because as a regular citizen, if it's a private property, it's no trespassing, period. And I understand that, low offenses, but is there any reason why we'd have to do a 3-tier for something that higher?
so basically, the 3 tiers is for the low offenses.
Okay.
Now, for other offenses, like I said, domestic violence and stuff like that, it's straight bar.
Okay. I just want a clarification.
But again, that's our decision, the 3-tier?
Yeah.
Or that's not a HUD recommendation or? for police recommendation. Okay,
I know in Chesapeake, we don't. You barred.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying,
There is no- there is no tier, there is no level 1 or level 2.
well, no, I'm speaking as a resident because I had an issue where it's my property and he's on my property. And Portsmouth said, well, you didn't have a no trespassing. I'm sorry, you know, I'm paying $290 for this home. It's my property. Why do I have to have? So I didn't know if it was Portsmouth, HUD, or just us.
I think in most cases, it should be on the property. Is there no trespassing sign on the property?
Yeah,
So that,
no,
that's why it should be on every
So
property.
what happens is, we have a lot of people that come and visit other.
Understood?
Alright, so what happened is, probably they out partying or whatever, drinking, whatever, and it may get a little belligerent, nothing violent, just a little belligerent. So we give them that warning because we don't want to disturb the resident, bringing that guest over or anything like that. So we do give them a tier, you know, you act up a third time or whatever, you're out of here. You're not
So do you
getting
write,
warning.
do you write that up or it's just a
Yes.
verbal warning?
It's a
And then
verbal
you give
warning,
that
and
to-
it's just placed.
I got you.
You gonna pass around that trespass form?
Yeah, and it's on the phone. Everything that we do is for this phone. It's getting right. So like your warnings, everything is right. Okay, yeah, you see, and this is the reason why.
The team. Is it in the people
what's the actual number?
that come up?
These are the actual forms that are filled out, signed by the resident
You know,
and the
at the
offender.
bottom of the page.
I'm sorry, Chair. Cliff was trying to call in, but he said he doesn't have a number. Or it's not the right number.
Go ahead and knock what I don't. There you go.
Is there a phone number we could pass to Mr. Pickens?
Yeah, it should be, if you look on your calendar, it should have the number up there.
So we've had three homicides in housing this year, right?
You guys, I think,
Two at Lexington and one at Dale. The one at Dale, is that the one where the 5-year-old, 2-year-old was shot?
No, that's the one in next.
Lexington.
That's Lexington?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other two, the one at Dale, that was the gang one?
Yeah.
Okay, and how about the other one at Lexington?
That's still under investigation, but there was a young lady who was a resident. I'm not sure what her status is right now and what's going on with her. I think she, was evicted or she moved out.
Which one? I'm sorry.
The one that, was in the car with the guy that got killed on. Yeah.
Oh, that.
Tell me more.
But she wasn't proven, so
She
this was the
wasn't,
one that, it was a guy that was sitting outside in the car,
Got it.
that one on Paul Revere. And the lady resident had gotten out of his car, but it wasn't proven that
She
she had
had,
this individual.
So she still lives there.
she said,
Is Portsmouth Public Police doing any regular drive-throughs?
they're so thin. They do them, but very rare. They're probably every bit of 50 to 60% down.
What was the last time the police department made a walk through one of our neighborhoods?
Not even since I've been here a year, about a year.
Big homies, 757, Mercy Drops, or do you go with them when they do their events in the housing areas?
Yes, I'm at the after school program.
Mhm. And they're still active?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, they're all active in what?
We have Swanson and Dale and Lexington.
Watson, Dale,
Yeah,
what?
and they have an after-school program from 4 to 7. And they're looking at Seaboard, I don't. That hasn't been confirmed, but they want to start something in Seaboard. This is through Parkland.
It just, is there anything more that y'all are looking to do? Is there any more support y'all are looking for from us? if you were king for a day, what would you like to ask? I mean, obviously, I can throw more money at the problem, that's not necessarily gonna solve anything.
So cameras, more cameras. That's been our eyes in the sky.
Can I,
The cameras are after the fact, though.
okay,
The cameras solve a lot of this stuff
Okay,
that's going on.
okay.
But you got the cameras at the main issue that's up here. So are they not, like, when you got them at Seaboard, Dale, Swanson, right?
Well, see, the issue with the cameras are they're
That's everything.
not catching everything, so we need them in strategic places.
Okay. In
Like,
cuts.
in Dale, the back row of, what y'all call the row,
Mhm.
I can't see any of the back.
I'll put you on speaker.
Okay.
So,
Thanks, sir.
Is a reason why they didn't put them in, is they didn't have a place to put them initially?
Where, there?
Yeah.
Was, I think the previous security officer, he worked with the security company team, Ricotta, and dictated where
It's
he
not,
wanted them.
oh, okay.
But we have a lot of cameras at Swanson, you know, we're gonna be tearing down Swanson, so we're gonna be relocating them to other places as well, and they're a little bit, better quality, they have optical zoom and things of
So
that
you can
nature.
get like, plates and stuff.
Yeah, so in Dale and Lexington, they have, and correct me if I'm wrong, they have the license plate reader there, right?
yeah, we do have license plate readers there. I had a Zoom meeting with Ricotta day before yesterday. And one of the biggest issues that they told me that we were having was internet. The, gigahertz of the internet. If we can boost up the gigahertz of the internet, we get better reception and the cameras are actually functioning like they're supposed to.
You know, that's not a new issue, but that's a city issue, right?
I'm not sure.
It's a
I'm
city
not
IT
sure.
issue, right? I mean, that's what I've heard. It's not our issue. Again, we're throwing money to buy cameras and we're throwing, but it doesn't do any good to have a camera. At least from what I understand, if the city can't get the bandwidth to hook up with their police department.
Can I interject here?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. First of all, for the record, Commissioner Pickens is kind of here with us. Can you hear? Secondly, and I'm right there with you in regards to what we can do, or as much as we can do in regards to security, but I should have spoke up my opinion last time. There's only so much we as a board can do for security. We are not. PRHA has, I think we bumped it up to 2 million. I don't know what the number was exactly that they can spend without us as a board. We're not going to do a strict $2 million just for security. So I'm trusting that the PRHA in general is doing what they can do. Obviously, security is doing what they can do. But we are not security. That's the city has to step up and do theirs. We've already said get as many cameras as we can get. We've already said get as many bodies as we can get. As with maintenance, there's a shortage in everything that's out there. I just don't want us to get caught up in hearing you as a chair go, we're now into security, bring us all your issues. Let us try to help you, help us resolve them, because that isn't what we're doing. And I don't want us to get caught up in somewhere being in court saying, this is what the chair said. Hold on, let me finish. This is what the board said, because we only have a certain amount of reins that we can do as a board or as a PRHA. It's the city that's got to come out and police. We've already given permission for cameras. And I don't want to say we're beating a dead horse because we need to listen to every case and try to figure it out, but we aren't the police. We can't, I just think that there's a lot of and unnecessary focus isn't where I'm trying to go. I just think that we're trying to beat that dead horse. We can't get out there. I'm not coming out to carry a gun. I've been out here. I come out here. I know people out here. But at the same time, we can't go out and arrest people.
I've taken it personal. There's no doubt about it. I've taken it personal. I've received during this time frame, so with the new commissioners that are here, when this thing started going down about 2.5 years ago, I guess 2 years ago, I took the gavel, all right? When we had the 18-year-old shot at Swanson, okay, during the middle of the day, right? we called for a meeting here, if you remember, I don't know if you were, part- we had a special meeting here, right? And no one from the city came to attend. And I challenged the city, particularly the police chief at the time, about why there wasn't anybody here. And I got lambasted by the police chief, all right? And it's told, we're short, you guys are just gonna have to stand in line. And I threw him the crime statistics that at Dale, 20% of the crime in the city happens at Dale. I would like 20% of your assets, whatever they are, at Dale. I mean, I just know numbers, all right? So that was the first run-in I had. Then the second time, I sent a personal email to the mayor, right? And to the city manager, saying exactly what you said. We're not in the housing business.
No,
All right, we're not in the housing business. You put us in the security business. I'm not comfortable with it. And I need a full court press. I don't know what words I use. I got a blast email from the city manager, all right? And then I got a personal phone call from the mayor saying to be patient, all right? They've got plans en route. And I said, I can't be patient. We have folks being shot, killed. And that's what, and right after that, that's when the 14-year-old at Norcom got shot. Okay, so, you know, I do the drive-bys myself at Dale. I hear you. At this point, I'm frustrated because the last one that I've tackled with Daniel Jones, who's with IT, was we're spending all this money on cameras, and the city's talking about spending all this money on cameras, but the internet system doesn't work for the city, right? And so what have they done? They fired the IT guy. Well, firing the IT guy doesn't solve our problem, right? So I hear you. I want to get out of the security business, right? But I just, when I get those calls from Mr. Bland, we had somebody, and I call y'all sometimes, so I don't know. I feel frustrated. At this point, you know, I don't know if it's going to do me any good, do us any good to send another email to the council, send another email to the police chief.
But I don't think we need to send anything until after the 23rd of January. I think we need to just write this out.
I'll meet it.
No, I'm sorry, I'm giving you those things that have happened personally to the chair. And to get that, you know, that barn burner email from the city manager, just using words that I don't think they even understood, so they had to have somebody write it for them, because I know that they don't even know the gosh darn words they used, but it was very, very upsetting to me. It was basically, Bruce.
All I'm saying is, as a board, we need to be careful in what we say, because we cannot go out there with our 2 feet and 2 hands and take care of it. We cannot. They've got a budget that we've already approved, that they can do what they want with. Mr. Bland has to answer to us with what they did with it. Now, if we want to get on Mr. Bland and say, hey, are you doing enough? That's a different story. But as a board, we can't be out there putting it out there that we are the police. We're not.
Well, that's what I'm asking at this point. As a board, what do you want to do? Because the message I would like to be delivered by our liaisons, and our liaisons aren't here. All right. So this frustration we're having. What do you, let's be careful with, I got you. Let's be careful.
We have to continue the course.
Who do I send the message to that we're gonna get some sort of
Until the
response?
23rd, there's no one to send the message.
Okay.
Let's get the new city council up. We don't even know if we're gonna have a new city manager at this point.
Right.
So right now, we just have to stay the course, trust in our security, and keep going where we
We
are.
realize we're putting these guys in harm's way. Because we've decided to do that.
So if you look at community policing, that doesn't exist no more. That's just,
That's
you're
right.
not gonna find any police officer walking up and down Dale at all. They barely wanna come out there.
Mhm.
So PRHA having their own security team, that's a plus. Not only that, it makes the residents feel safe. I have kids outside that are actually playing now. Whereas when I first got here, couldn't find nobody out there but the gangsters out there. All right, in Brick, what y'all call Brick Road. Here in the last few weeks, normally I see a whole gang of guys out there. I haven't seen any. So whoever that's out there with me, we are making an effect on what's going on out there.
Well, I've asked Mr. Bland, as soon after in January, get another sit down with us in council, all right? And then we'll look at what agenda we want to bring up to council. But obviously, security is going to be one of the top, if not the number one, it's going to be the number 1A issue we need to talk about.
How many security personnel lives there?
Right now, it's 3.
So you short, and they say you were short last meeting, how many people?
Short,
It's supposed to be
short
5.
2, not short 2.
Is that,
Big answer.
no, I was asking, I'm sorry.
We're
Is
short.
that 3 in rotation, morning, noon and night, or?
One shift.
5 to 5 to
1.
5 to 1, that's it.
See, now, for me, that's an issue. So maybe in the future we can figure out something with that, but I think there should be at least 2 rotations.
When you say 5 to 1, is that 5?
5 PM to 1 AM.
Okay.
But that's
Yeah, 1 AM is when the party starts.
And they know the schedule.
Yeah.
They know it. And I go, oh, boy,
That's one of our
yeah,
biggest,
of course.
well, it was one of our biggest issues.
Yeah, but the two shoot, the two, second, I'm
Before 1
sorry.
o'clock.
Your last issue, your last, incident was at 4 o'clock in the morning. The other two were accidental, so.
Okay.
But the ones that got me going, the 18-year-old was at 8:30 in the morning, right? The 14-year-old child was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean,
The 2-year-old child.
the Norcom student was getting off the bus.
Getting off the bus.
I mean, these were during the day. I mean, I'd like to
Yeah,
say, hey,
yeah.
it's, you know, it's after, between this and this. But, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff other than this, the homicides that are happening
You
and,
can't pinpoint a time.
No.
Yeah.
No, but you got to depend on the cameras in the daytime.
There are some patterns, but yeah, you can't pinpoint them. And exactly.
right?
And
Okay.
with that said, I would like to be put on the security.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Since I'm not on
Thank you.
the one.
Thank you. But, again, I have taken it personal, that's all. It's, you know, we've asked security people to put their lives in harm's way. And I've learned more about license plate detectors, cameras, than I ever thought I would ever get involved in as a housing commissioner. But, I just, when I got the personal rebukes from folks who I thought were gonna at least be somewhat, you know, somewhat passionate, it was, you know, back off. Back off. Right.
Y'all
Thank you,
two
sir.
at a time?
Thank you, sir.
Y'all in groups of 2?
All right. We're gonna, Ms. Brian, you done?
Yeah, those are the items,
Right there.
that you asked me to bring up.
Right, so, public speakers are allowed 5 minutes to speak. I see no public speakers. I don't see any online. And we're gonna go around the room and, let's, why don't we start? Stephanie, why don't we start with you? All right.
Do we want to bring? Or was just saying,
Yes, ma'am, but I'm saying, bring up your issue. Well, you know, if you've got any
Oh,
other
I do.
issues. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
no, I don't have any
Yes,
others.
ma'am.
So today I spoke with, Chair, in regards to finding out that one of our youth from public housing, was awarded the large scholarship from NARO. However, the youth did not get the scholarship because based on what I'm being told and the information that I have, is that Portsmouth Housing Authority has not paid dues to NARO.
Wow.
And they reached out to Mr. Bland to see if he would get caught up on the dues, and from what I'm understanding, Mr. Bland refused to pay the dues. So the student lost the scholarship. They went ahead and selected the next child for the scholarship. And I think my concern with that is that it certainly just, and I've walked around with this, I shared with Chairman that I've known for a little bit. And I wanted to personally speak to, our CERC NARO president. I spoke to previous presidents, and they all felt the same. They felt that, at the very least, it was unfair to that child. A child that's coming from a public housing community, lost scholarship money.
I'm asking you, and I'm sure you don't have the exact answer, but if we in fact did not pay dues, how was he eligible in the first place?
Well, they didn't catch that until they looked into the dues part of it.
Okay.
And so they reached out, what I'm understanding is that they reached out to Mr. Bland to give him an opportunity to pay the dues so that the child could get the scholarship, and that Mr. Bland refused.
Mr. Bland, did you want to comment?
Yeah, we have not been a member of NARO since I've been here, because it's not, NARO, being a member of any housing organization, not a requirement under her regulations. You can if you choose. There are many housing authorities in Virginia that are, and some are not, across the country. Being a member, yeah, and membership runs about 5,000 a year. When I first came on board, we had a lot of financial issues, so I look at where I could save money, cut money, and make the agency more financially feasible. When I was approached in reference to the scholarship, I was not told the grand amount or anything. I was told, yeah, and I was told I had to pay the national dues and then the regional dues. And which were a little more I think, than $5,000. Yeah, but we have not been a member since
So the opportunity was on the table for you to
Yeah.
pay the dues, and you still refuse to pay the dues.
because I was not given all of the total details, and at the same time, like I said,
I just think,
it says it's not a requirement to be a member, although we do attend FILA conference. I know some people go to FILA conference, some go to NARO, but if you remember, those dues runs about $5,000 per each. If you.
And how long again have you been here, sir?
I'm sorry, what now?
How long again have you been the director?
Since 2017.
And we've not been a member since prior to you, and then since
You
2017.
can't speak prior to me.
I'm not sure, maybe Ms. Winston would know how long.
We was a member prior to that.
Because there were a lot of financial issue when I first came here, yeah. So, yeah.
But we show that we're in a surplus now.
I'm trying to play the middle here, because he was brought on to bring us into a surplus, because we weren't. So if that was a cut that helped get us here, and I see both sides.
It's not a cut. That's not a cut. We have a job to serve as executive director, to serve the people that we serve. I don't care how we look at that. He had an opportunity to pay those dues and bring them current when we had the surplus, and outright refuse to pay it. So that kid might not be able to go to school now. And at the very least, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, at the very least, I think it's close to $20,000 that child didn't get.
Well, right now, we're hearing all this fresh. All I'm giving is a potential perspective on, he made a cut that he felt was important, and I'm not speaking for him by no means. I'm trying to get all of this in real time. Maybe it's something we would look back at. I don't know if it's 100% lost, that we can't revisit it, but in real time, I'm just trying to figure out, and that's the HR and business and psych side in me. I'm trying to figure out potentially all the sides. And I hear you, because that 5,000, if that truly was a $20,000 scholarship.
Yeah, because we were just looking at the, I guess 2 meetings ago, you was talking about getting like a $15,000 raise. Could have used
Well,
money
but
we were
that's,
offering for a raise.
those are,
I'm just saying, we got extra money to give them
those are separate.
$15,000 raise.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying.
Very nice.
So would the dues had to been
Caught up in.
retro, or you would have to
It could
pay
have possibly
from
been retro.
17 to
You just
current,
said 5,000.
or just with
That's
this
what they
year?
were.
What he's
For the
saying
past year.
is that the dues are, you pay based on the size of your housing authority. They're looking at your voucher program or your public housing size or units that you have, and your dues are based on that. So PRHA had not paid any dues. How far back? Maybe the last 3 or 4 years, I don't know. But if he has not paid them since he's been here, then we could,
So it's looking at 5 years, almost 5.
But he's just saying it was just 5,000, so it didn't say
No,
5.
that the dues were 5,000.
per year.
Per year on a.
They asked you for 5,000 for this year, 5,000 going back to 17.
Dues, he never really said, but dues run roughly close to 5,000 a year. You know, and like I'm saying is, coming on board, I looked at bringing the agency financial solid. At the same time, I also look at, okay, what are the requirements from HUD, what you must do and what you could do. One of those that HUD does not require any housing authority to do is be a member of any organization. That's not a HUD requirement. I'm not saying it's not good to be.
Yeah.
But, the only board member left initially when I came here was Bruce, and I mean, chair, as our chair, but we had a lot of financial issues and I was trying to balance the books, get us where
Yeah.
we need to be financially.
So I'm saying, I guess was it Brittany? I forgot what her name was.
With the.
Yeah, that brought the 2 people that was in contention for the scholarship to the inaugural luncheon.
Oh,
Did they not tell them not to apply for it because do they just not know that
I
he
would
couldn't
have to
apply
ask.
for it?
Well, Commissioner White was saying that they, after the fact, found out about the
But he
dues.
didn't qualify for the scholarships, and why we even apply, we couldn't even,
He qualified, but he's saying that after the fact,
if we weren't members, he shouldn't even apply for it, that's what I'm saying.
but I don't know that he would know that we weren't members.
So
I mean,
obviously, nobody knew.
FSS
Because FSS continued with what they were doing.
Right.
So maybe no one knew that,
he couldn't.
that we were
Yeah.
not making, we were not paying the dues.
Right.
We were not paying the dues.
So,
But that shouldn't have, I'm like that too. He should not have even been able to apply because technically we're not a part of that organization. So.
so the ball was
how
dropped on
that
both
out-
sides.
offered to him?
The
So
ball was
in
dropped
an-
on both sides.
In an effort, I'm sorry, I turned it off. I'm sorry.
Are you still with us? Commissioner Pickens, are you still with us? Okay.
Mr. Bland, moving forward, is this something you would consider doing?
I mean, now we are financially where we can do it, but then keep in mind too, is then you got, Commissioner, you go to Father Conference, you go to Naval Conference, fathers have scholarships also going forward. But in order to see those, let's say Father comes, then we would have to pay dues at Father also.
Want
So
to
we
be
gotta get
careful
them to
here,
apply
want to be
for it.
careful here, because what we're, want to make sure that we're not directing Mr. Bland of what housing organizations he needs to be a part
No,
of.
we just need to tell, Brittany or FSS to tell them to not to apply for, if there's something they don't qualify for, because it become an issue now.
Can we table this for now and bring it up at a different, potentially even a special, whereas, because we do have potentially 4, if not 5 different organizations. But it sounds like they dropped the ball, and it sounds like also we dropped the ball in that no one should be applying for something we're not a part of.
Absolutely. And the organization, when they realized, they reached out to Mr. Bland
So
and
I
gave him an opportunity.
just think that this is for me, I just think this is another conversation agreeing with you that we're not here to direct Mr. Bland to what organization. We can potentially come together and look at all the organizations that we go to and say, hey, this is the higher, this is the better. Potentially, if we're gonna do something, let's go with this particular one. But I don't think we're gonna get anywhere with this here.
I think that's Mr. Bland's decision.
Right, and that's what Bruce is saying. We can't do that, but we're also saying, oh my God, you didn't pay dues. I don't think this is the table discussion for tonight.
Well, have the discussion with the, I guess it's Mr. Wang, have the discussion with Mr. Wang
Mhm.
and bring it back to us at the next meeting here.
Okay.
If there is a resolution that management wants to do, if there's a resolution that management wants to do, give us a recommendation of what you're gonna do for the resolution. All right, we're not here to direct you. I'm not gonna sit here and, I hope we're not, direct you on what to do to do or do not what you want to do, but let us know what you're gonna do, all right? All right,
Okay.
okay, let's go around the table. Vice Chair? Stephanie, any more? Yeah?
Nope.
Yeah. Ms. Morgan?
I was gonna comment that all may not be lost for this child. I'm not sure what the qualifications were. But if he qualified for a scholarship, there are other scholarships he might be able to get.
The executive committee, with Certain RO is looking at a way to see if they can come up with some money to try and help. There's nothing written in stone there.
Commissioner Prince?
First and foremost, just to reiterate, I would like to be a part of, security. I'm the acronym guy, the family debt for the PHA. And I know it's probably not a legal thing, but I've seen it to where acronyms get in the way. We're either PRHA or A, or we are PHA, and there's both in here. So I'm just,
PHA is Public Housing Agent.
I get that, but PRHA is also, and I'm just saying, some folks look at that. With that said, back to me being the bad guy. I don't try to push arguments back and forth, but having worked in psych for as long as I have, we need to be careful as a board, with some power to make sure that we're using the right verbiage and communicating the right stories. Because before I got here, I've seen this board on the news quite a few times. And it's important not to convey a message that will, I'll just layman term, write a check that we can't cash. So it's just important to just be matter of fact with what we actually can do. Remember that there's a budget that we've already approved and we'll approve again. And Mr. Blaine answers to us. And if we have questions and concerns, we absolutely can go back to Mr. Blaine. But setting just has to be right. And thank you all again for everything that everybody does here.
Thanks. Commissioner Pickens, did you have anything? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
They have, I guess, me and, I just Prince in my head, I can't think of it. Part of, I guess, the security team now, are you planning on, I guess, doing the little meetings before the next meeting? But you all security team, are you planning on doing the meeting?
No, our next meeting will be the December meeting. We got action item for the December meeting.
No, I'm talking
No,
as far as
for
the
security, are you planning on
subcommittee.
meeting like?
You need-
Oh,
you need
oh,
to
yeah,
get them
I'll
together
meet
for the
with you,
next
yeah.
board meeting.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Okay.
If I have anything else, our next meeting is December the 15th, and then the PRJ Christmas party is the next day, usually a big thing, good thing, right? Again, any by the ways, last call, all right, we're adjourned.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to Mr. Pickens dancing.
Oh, God.